Hey guys, this is the first time I'm going to try and put some audio today and post it as a video, so bear with me as I work my way through this. We're going to be doing early civilizations, India, and powerful empires, changing culture of India. So the first one we're going to talk about is the Indus Valley Civilization. It was from about 2500 BC to about 1500 BC. It's the first known civilization in India, and developed around the Indus River Valley where there was a lot of rich soil for growing crops and it was good to settle there. They had very planned cities which was unique for culture of this time. They had nearly straight roads that formed a checkerboard pattern. Their towns and cities were carefully constructed. They had walls surrounding the town to protect it. They separated the areas for homes and areas for public buildings, and they even had the beginnings of a sewer system and police. They were farmers, and because they were such a large empire for the time, they taxed their people with food to help support the empire. And they traded mostly with the people from the Middle East, but some of the other surrounding areas as well. They could get to them. Archaeologists have found these clay fields that we haven't been able to decipher. We don't know what they mean. We think they were used to identify goods and to decipher and to determine the meaning of the vocabulary word. The arrival of the Aryans. This is the second culture we're going to talk about. And we're not talking about Aryans as in World War II white people, okay? They came about in the decline of Indus Valley. The Indus Valley started to decline about 2000 BC, and they think from natural causes, but they're not entirely sure. And these people came in and they were warrior people with iron weapons. They were easily able to conquer these people. Their migration was slow, but they quickly covered all of it in this town. Their culture was quite unique and it's still very present in many ways today. Their religion was first passed down through the oral tradition, but eventually they developed the written language of Sanskrit, which is still very popular in India today. And they wrote down their most important religious beliefs. They had many gods, but their most important was Indra, who was a warrior god. And they made sacrifices to their gods as a form of worship. Their villages, they kind of came in and settled the ancient Indus Valley villages and cities, but they put a great price on cattle. Cattle was very, very valuable. Oftentimes they were paid or rewarded for cattle. And their rulers were called the Rajas, and they were hereditary rulers. If your daddy was a ruler, you could be a ruler. They were the first to kind of develop those social classes we talked about the other day. The Brahmins as a priest, the Kshatriyas as warriors, the Vaisyas, mainly known as merchants and traders, the Sudras, servants and peasants. And then we talked about the untouchables the other day. That was the part of society that everybody ignored. They were diseased and you couldn't touch them. Right? That came along a little later. The Varna, as those classes are called, developed into the rigid caste system that became very much a part of Indian culture and is still around today. And a caste is a social group based on birth. The Maurya Empire. The first ruler in the northern plains was Chingaptra Maurya. His descendants became the Maurya dynasty, and dynasty was ruling family. And his government was this huge area that he covered with almost all of India except for the very tip. So he used hundreds of thousands of officials to help him rule. Asoka was his grandson, and Asoka ruled from about 269 to 232 BC, and he was very much a warrior. He tried to conquer new lands in the empire, and he really thought that he wanted to fight, but he realized that all the killing was very bad. He murdered Buddhism, which promotes peace, and he was a very kind ruler after that. He was the very first Buddhist ruler who really had any significance, and he built many stupas, which are the shrines to Buddha, and he sent Buddhist missionaries into other lands and empires. Now we're going to talk about the small kingdom that came in after his death. And the Greeks and Persians followed in northern India, but southern India was totally separate. They were ruled by the Dravidians. Sorry. Dravidians. Having trouble today. Not the Aryans. They were Hindu as well instead of Buddhist. The Gupta Empire started about 320 AD and lasted until about 535 AD. And a young one named Gahadragupta the first, and he was the first ruler, obviously. He named himself the first. He was around most of northern India. He helped the culture and the people focus on art, literature, and mathematics, really inventing those three areas. Eventually, they began to decline with the invasions of the Huns. We'll talk about the Huns when we talk about China. But if you've seen Mulan, they're the bad guys in the movie that she's trying to save China from. The Muslim expansion into India. In about the mid-600s, Islam really began to rise in the Middle East, and the Muslim people began migrating into India. But they weren't always very nice when they actually conquering the native people. They set up the Delhi Sultan, and Delhi was the capital of India at the time, at about 12,000 BC, or I'm sorry, AD. And sultans were Muslim rulers. And so instead of forcing everyone to convert to Muslim because Muslim and Hinduism were so very different, talk about something, they just decided to tax you. If you were Muslim, you had to pay a special tax. The Mughals invaded in 1398 for the very first time, but they left really quickly and the sultans were re-established. They invaded again about 150 or so years later in 1526. However, which really brought about the Mughal Empire because they stayed this time, and Islamic culture was brought to its peak during this time period. Usually we have clashes of these you had Muslims and you had Hindus, and no, it's not. They did not work. Because the Muslims did not adopt Hinduism as most other people had when they came. And there were some vast differences between the voices. Hindus believed in many gods, while Muslims believed in just the one. That was the biggest contention there. So there were a lot of other differences. Eventually, the two groups did learn to listen to each other, and they are the two most popular religions in India today. And they do live fairly well and get along. The Mughal Empire from 1526 to the 1800s. At the height of the empire, most of Asia was ruled by the Mongols. Their most famous ruler was Akbar, and he was actually a very famous ruler in India altogether. He realized he needed both Muslim and Hindu support, so he married a Hindu princess and abolished the tax on Hindus. He is known as one of their greatest rulers because of his ability to create tolerance and to rule well. He helps them combine Hindu and Muslim art styles to create something that was uniquely Indian. They did begin to decline partially because of economic problems. The leaders spent money that they didn't have, and then they tried to tax the people more and more. So people couldn't pay the taxes, and so eventually led to this downfall of the empire. And that's it. Hopefully this works. If you would like to look at each of the sides individually, you can do that with a separate PowerPoint that was posted here with the other above.